Mm. Oh, just use the scratch notebook. Taking notes on the table is going to get graphite all over the place. Let's see. Let's check this one out again. If I say P, then Q. Okay. If and only if not P or Q. Okay. No, this is bidirectional. Because we're introducing a tautology. You can always introduce a tautology. And this should be and. You can always and on a tautology. That's a capacity we grant ourselves for some reason. And so now this is going to be not P or P and Q. And so, well, and so if and only if P, then P and Q. As opposed to the case where we said, if we had started out instead with P, then Q, and P, if and only if not P or Q and P, if and only if P and not P or P and Q. Wait a minute. That should be fine. Right, well, this would yield contradiction. Yeah, well, this is an interesting point. We take a kind of opposite tack to the constructivists. The only way a statement can be false is by being a contradiction. Well, I mean, I don't know how to interpret that in terms of theorems. We could say a statement could be a theorem statement, and then a false theorem statement semantically, naturally corresponds with saying that the theorem is incorrect, that what the theorem asserts does not obtain, and then that, well, mechanically that would out itself as a contradiction, though that might merely be an article of faith. Okay, that's different from saying that the only false statement is a contradiction where a false... so falsity is whether I put this color under a statement, under a term. Okay, I put this color, the color of contradiction, under this term because it is a contradiction, P and not P. All right, and that's the whole of how truth and falsity enter into this activity. Truth and falsity intrude on this mechanical activity in just this kind of case. If we wanted to, we wouldn't, I don't want to extend truth and falsity to talking about theorems, because it's like saying, if you gave me a false theorem, if you gave me a bad theorem that didn't prove what it purported to prove, I wouldn't put it in the journal, and then we wouldn't be talking about it. So it's irrelevant to talk about whether it's true or false. We don't want to extend the aegis, the descriptive, the grammatical force of truth and falsity to true and false theorems because we have no use for false theorems. Whereas we do have use for false statements like this. The use is that whenever I have this, I can eliminate some terms, which makes calculation easier. Though really saying that this is where truth and falsity lies, whether I'm willing to, well, if I'm willing to mark it with the contradiction color, or if I am instead willing to mark it with the tautology color. That's we could say that's where the entirety of truth and falsity lies. Though then you might say, no, I don't want to call that truth and falsity. Fair enough. Why do you want to call anything truth or falsity? What's your alternative candidate? It's a useful phrase. It's a useful phrase because it gives us immediate access to a binary inductive type. It gives us access to ready reference to a two-state variable. Alright, again, you could choose 0, 1, you could choose black, white, you could choose blue, red, you could choose green, teal. Anyway. Now it's interesting. This purports to arrive at P and Q from P then Q and P through interderivability instead of forward derivability. Is that what we want? This is effectively where our preferences are stated, right? Well, maybe. Does something motivate me to choose a step down for the biconditional? Have I performed an action that I say, yep, that's a step down? But then that's also mechanically designated. Like, yeah, though not every case where we drop an and, factually, not every case where we drop an and do we step down the biconditional. We don't step down an and, rather, we don't step down the biconditional to shed an and when it's a statement like, if I have D is equal to the ordered pair AB and D is equal to the ordered pair DE, and then on the next step I replace all copies of D and E with A and B, I don't step down the biconditional even though I shed the and, because I think that I can re-extract the shedded and from the terms that are still in the expression. Well, and I can do that too, right? Here we can do that. It should be no surprise, because, well, supposing we want to give ourselves this ability as well, so P and Q, okay, if and only if, this would be the comment. P and Q, if and only if P and Q or P and not P. So you can always and on a tautology, and you can always or on a contradiction, because you don't change the truth value of your expression. The truth tables are the same, is the argument. Now, that's the semantic reason why we say we can do this, why we grant ourselves this ability. There isn't a mechanical explanation for why we can do this. It's not a direct transform. Well, it's like a different class of rule for transformation. It doesn't work the same way as. Well, now this isn't a set theoretic observation. It's more like a feeling, as it were. Our giving ourselves this capacity to or on a contradiction is not like giving ourselves mechanical typographical transformations. In that, I say I can transform P then Q into not P or Q, okay, and that has something to do with the fact that, well, I have the P then Q statement. Okay, wherever I have this term, I can change it into this term. Now I say whenever I have any term I can change it into a term like this. I can, well, whenever I have any term, I can or on a contradiction. Well, anyway, supposing we think that that's legitimate, then I or on the contradiction and I extract the P, so we'll have P and Q or not P. Well, P and not P or Q, which brings us back to P, then Q, and P. Okay, which has resolved some kind of doubt. What is that kind of doubt that it's resolved? Right, well, so what this was actually resolving for us, which of these two equalities we actually have. If I have P then Q, alright, case A is that what we, well, yeah, let's see. Case A is that we have P then Q and P, where this is in parentheses, and then we say that's if and only if not P or Q and P. Okay, which is then if and only if not P or Q and not P or P, which is interderivable with P then Q, which is what we wanted, as opposed to case B, a case purely in our capacity to imagine it, to purely in our capacity to construct a sentence that seems to reference it. Alternatively, here we have P then Q and P, but that's not what we have as it turns out. Bidirectional, not P or Q, and bidirectional, I don't know why we're bracketing now, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Oh, and P. Okay, then we will have P and not P, which is a contradiction, or P and Q, as we calculated above. Okay. So the winner here is case A. And I care about this because now we step forward into saying, okay, and yeah, but this is going to involve an extension of our, yeah, this is going to involve an extension of our quantifiers. It's going to involve twisting our quantifiers. Well, maybe not. I mean, let's see. D equals the ordered pair A, B's. This is just green again. Alright, so now the question is, how do I interpret these quantifiers? Well, so naively here, the point is that we can say D equals AB, D equals DE, and then we get to replace these with AF is an element of A and FB is an element of C. And why do I want that? That sends us down the routing of asking. That has us asking. Do we need these two distinct quantifiers? So if I have, I guess we'll do this in a comment because I'm not sure if I trust this. So we're saying there exists a D and there exists an E. Such that capital D is equal to the ordered pair D. And there exists an F such that the ordered pair DF is an element of A and the ordered pair is an element of C. Okay, and I'll make this like a conjecture or make this a speculative claim. Now we're saying so now the question is, do we want to be able to take the step do we want to be able to take the step where we say if and only if there exists a D and there exists an E and there exists an A and there exists a B such that D equals the ordered pair AB and D equals the ordered pair DE exists an E such that, nope, rather there exists an F such that the ordered pair DF is an element of A. And the ordered pair DE is an element of C. And there exists that is not the correct number of brackets, though that is difficult to track. It's one too many. Okay, and now the idea would be, I suppose we push the quantification here. We get unclear. Could just choose any colors, I guess. Too tight in here. Leave room for quantifiers. Let's see. Alright, so now the question we're asking ourselves is, after too many iterations, question we're asking ourselves is, are we willing to group these two together? And then are we willing to let me think here. I was wondering if we'd be willing to unify these two terms. There exists an F such that the ordered pair DF is an element of A. Well, and this is going to be AF after the equality that we get from up here, D equals the ordered pair AB and D equals the ordered pair DE. We can replace this D with A. Similarly, we can replace this E with B. This should... I make a lot of mistakes. A lot of these letter-based mistakes, but I'm paying enough attention to correct them. So the ordered pair DF is an element of A becomes the ordered pair AF is an element of A. Ordered pair FE is an element of C becomes the ordered pair FB is an element of C. Okay. So it's like I want to say that we could get away with one quantifier for element of A. I mean that we're going to have, if there exists an F such that the ordered pair AF is an element of A, and there exists a C such that the ordered pair AC is an element of A, then there exists a G such that the ordered pair AG is an element of A. That doesn't, however, get us this step. So this will become FB on the left and is an element of C, and then CB is an element of B. And these could be different elements. We can't simplify that step. Okay, but I think we can take a different routing here, and I think we're going to need to. And that different routing is going to say. A/B minus A/C is a subset of A/B minus C. Okay. Let's try it again. Yes, the early step down. I say, for all D is an element of. Actually, does the early step down help me? D is an element of. Oh yeah, we need quantification. Alright, D is an element of A/B minus A/C. Yeah, this is kind of a strange operation, isn't it? Because what we're going to say here is interderivable with D is an element of A minus B and not D is an element of A minus. Oops, that's not correct. A/B minus A/C. Okay. And then what? So now the idea is that we want to step down the quantifier. Yeah, but why? I felt the need to take a step, but that's now a quirky. That's kind of a. If it is a requirement, there's not a good reason for this to be a requirement. So what am I talking about specifically? For all D, if D is an element of A slash B minus A, or rather, for all D, D is an element of A slash B minus A slash C is interderivable with D is an element of A slash B and not D is an element of A slash C. And now I want to take the step where we exit this quantifier. Okay, and we downstep. Now there's a higher order. I don't know enough about logic to throw terms around like that, but okay, sure. There's a higher level or higher order point here that when at least in the natural deduction discussion or in the logic discussion that we've engaged with, the book that we've read on logic, the capacity to choose an arbitrary element or reflecting and observing that we could have chosen any element allows us to reclaim the for all statement, the for all expression. I'd have to think whether that requires more qualification. So I say, in this case, we're stepping down the biconditional to say if yeah, I don't know why we don't have to introduce another quantifier. If the ordered pair AB is an element of A slash B minus A slash C, that's not an if expression, rather if and only if, or interderivable with the ordered pair AB is an element of A slash B. Yeah, that's correct. And not the ordered pair AB is an element of A slash C. Intriguing. Yeah, but why do I... Yeah, well, how do you make this switch? Well, maybe you don't start by saying for all D. Well, the point of starting with for all D... The point of starting with this quantification is that... Well, that, I don't know, habit. That's how you start such a proof. You say for every set that's an element of the antecedent set, that element will be an element of the consequent set. Well, yeah, now it's like the form that strikes me in my head, in my sense of propriety here, is that this should stay on the left-hand side, and then this should stay on the right-hand side, or this is the start of a column on the right-hand side where we transform the right-hand side repeatedly. Which is not different from... It's not syntactically any different. If we set this up here and then we leave a blank space beneath it, or we copy this expression over and over again. Okay, and then we have an alternative expression in each step on the right-hand side. Maybe that means something new. I think we would want it to be syntactically the same as if we began a sequence of crosshatched by interderivability expressions. Because our proofs generally take the form of these interderivability expressions. So we would want that because we'd be maintaining our proof form. Like, our proofs are littered with, and when they're not, it's because I forgot to put them often, littered with interderivability expressions, so it would be comforting if our current proof also involved interderivability expressions. But again, the problem here is that it seems like I've set myself up to say that this term as a whole is true. This interderivability expression is true. For all D, this interderivability expression is true. Then this interderivability expression is true for the ordered pair AB. Okay. So what I'd rather want to say... Well, and this could be... Maybe that's where we would bring in our doubled forward cross edge. Yeah, I don't know that our syntax rules answer this, or either pose or answer this question. It doesn't matter anyway. What do I mean? So what we're wanting to get out of this is that we start by saying the ordered pair AB, but this actually I think only gets us back into the position that we got to before, because we still have to choose a different quantifier for the additional element. So I think mechanically this ends up being the same thing. Let's just let's note that this could be this might be a system error. What we're about to do, but let's follow through on the consequences. Okay, see if it's not useful to follow through on the consequences, then it doesn't matter what our answer to the question is. How useful. Okay, so I say let's see. The ordered pair, there exists a C such that ordered pair AC is an element of A, and the ordered pair CB is an element of B. Okay, and there exists an F, which actually could just be a D here, but I'll use F out of deference to the notation used on the preceding page. There exists an F such that the ordered pair AF is an element of A, and the ordered pair FB is an element of C. Yeah, I didn't give myself the same amount of space, admittedly. Being a little laxer on quantification here. Well, we're just investigating. Yeah, so it seems like this leaves us in exactly the same situation we had back here. This should be not. Right, so this is Q, and this is P. Okay, so if and only if not Q or not P. No, that would be the opposite of what we want. Not P or Q, if and only if not P, then Q, which is the same as saying for all C, not the ordered pair AC is an element of A, or not the ordered pair CB is an element of B. Uh-oh. Then there exists an F such that the ordered pair AF is an element of A, and the ordered pair FB is an element of C. Did that turn into meaningless gibberish while I was looking? Well, I don't know what that's trying to tell me. Hmm. Is that what we ended up with back here? No, it's not. Though, now that I'm looking at it, maybe it should have been what we ended up with. Yeah, I screwed up back here. I miscalculated. Mhm. Alright. Yes, I miscalculated. There should be a big negation out front. Yes. Oh. Better to call it a technical mistake. Alright, and if that negation is out front, it all becomes meaningless. So, um, hmm. replicate this bit of verbiage again. Okay, now let's ask the critical question. What are we going for? Just keep it red. For all E. E is an element of A slash C. If and only if there exists a G. There exists an H such that E. Such that E is an element. No, whether E is equal to. Pair GH. And there exists a J such that. That is incorrect. Let's try it again. Hmm. I might not have the correct number of brackets there. I do not. All right. Hmm. Hmm. So it has to do with. I think I might see the. routing here. So we end up saying... Well, so if we distribute this negation through, we get for all D and for all E, not D equals the ordered pair DE, or for all F, the ordered pair, not the ordered pair DF is an element of A, or not the ordered pair FE is an element of C. Okay, then we have a universal quantifier that we can step down into an individual quantifier. So for all F, not the ordered pair FE is an element of C gives us yeah, I'm not sure that actually takes us where we want to go. Let's write it out. Let's get our blue expression. So after we've distributed, this is turquoise and then blue, so turquoise and then blue. Alright, so we distribute the negation, we get for all D and for all E. Okay. Now we get not D is equal to the ordered pair DE. Okay. Or for all F. Not the ordered pair DF is relative to A, or not the ordered pair F is an element of C. That negation is calligraphically unacceptable. Okay, now what is the idea? Now we want to be able to step this down to saying yeah, our syntax rules around these aren't exactly individuals, but I feel like they're not exactly variables either. Our syntax around particulars that we have quantified is shaky, I think. But okay, so not D is equal to the ordered pair AB. Okay, or not. So the point is that we're stepping down D, E, and F. Okay. And we say not D equals the ordered pair AB, or not not the ordered pair AC is an element of A, or not the ordered pair CB is an element of C. Interesting. So this is where we stepped. Interesting. But is it true? quote that came to mind from Remarks on the Foundations. Yes, that is indeed interesting and important, but is it true? Or I can't remember what he says exactly. It is indeed important, but is it true? How would it be important if it wasn't true? Wittgenstein, think with your head. Okay, though one wonders what we do with this. Yeah, well, so the reason that we're wanting to step down like this is so that we have A, B, and C, the letters, which match up with our quantifiers for the green expression. There exists an A and there exists a B such that D equals the ordered pair AB, and there exists a C such that ... Which, stepping down like this, treats these like these are particulars, A, B, and C for the blue expression, but they're not being treated as particulars for the green expression. In the green expression, they're variables. Yes, well, we could ease a lot of this if we said... Yeah, I don't know. I need more thinking about quantification. I need some examples instead of zero examples. Instead of trying to zero shot this, I need at least one example of people using quantifiers. I need at least one example of people using logic. I don't have so many examples. So the way this is thrown off is, yeah, I don't know how quantifiers are supposed to behave in this kind of circumstance. I could try to make up my own rules, I guess. I'm not keen on making up my own rules, though. Me? Making the rules? No, I don't think so. And if we wanted to go through with this transformation, what do we actually get out of this is the follow-up question. So we have this collection of ands that we could distribute, but it's not clear that we get anything out of... Well, no, it is clear that we get something out of this, because if nothing else, we're going to end up getting this. So we have and then that's all bracketed together, and we're anding that onto what is now this or expression down here. So when we distribute that through, we're going to get this and sequence with each of these terms in turn. So this is going to be D is equal to the ordered pair AB and not D is equal to the ordered pair AB, which is a contradiction. Okay, or not the ordered pair AC is an element of A and the ordered pair AC is an element of A, which is a contradiction. And then we're going to get... Oh, so actually that works out. It works out immediately and persuasively. How convenient. Okay, let's get... Sure, we'll introduce this. Because we're not using Poppy Red enough, we're going to rotate our color scheming a little bit. Actually, that could have been. Yeah, that could have been the Trinary colors. Whatever. Well, I mean, for that matter, we can do. Maybe want a better way of coloring that in. Oh well. So this is possibly an illegitimate operation. Raising an interesting question, do I care? Why should I care? Um, when will the world make me care that this was not a legitimate step? Okay, so now when we or distribute, no, rather when we and distribute, and we have proven that this and distribution is legitimate on another occasion, we're going to get D is equal to the ordered pair AB and orange, Spanish orange. And not D is equal to the ordered pair AB. What is plainly a contradiction? Or poppy red and the ordered pair AC is an element of A and Spanish orange. And not the ordered pair AC is an element of A. Okay. Which is plainly a contradiction. Okay, or which is not a contradiction. Okay, which is the same thing as saying D D is equal to the ordered pair AB and the ordered pair AC is an element of A, and the ordered pair CB is an element of B. I'll just claim this B minus C. Right, F. And then we would exit quantification for darker green. I've lost a lot of this Parma violet pigment. I would say I've lost most of the pencil that I have worked through. I've lost it from that. Next what? Mm-hmm. The clarity of that step is a bit questionable, maybe. We work through the continuation of this expression down here. So we could give a signal of Maybe I'm learning that I should use the other pencil sharpener, since there are two packed into this. Maybe not, though. No, that's gonna fall out as well. Yeah, it already did. Oh, come on. Yeah, this is gonna pass. It already has. It's just now passed up. Spanish orange is the first pencil that we're gonna work through, because this is gonna fall out. Hmm. Well, I mean, the pencils are like 20 years old. I imagine the wax is not, or whatever these pencils are made out of, I imagine it's not in the best shape. Well. Now, is that legitimate? Yeah, that step is a bit questionable, maybe. There's also something fishy about the fact that we waited for the universal quantification before we were willing to replace these terms. What do I mean? Because we can always transform our universal, or we can always transform our existential statements into universal statements. You know what I mean? So if I say, maybe actually that's wrong. Maybe actually, so if I have, there exists an A and there exists a B such that the ordered pair C is, it doesn't matter, A is equal to the ordered pair. We'll do D. D is equal to the ordered pair A, B. Okay, and then I say, if and only if not for all A and for all B, D is equal to the ordered pair AB. Okay, and then my point here is that now I put brackets up and I ignore the negation for a moment, and then I say down step into not open bracket D equals the ordered pair CD. From which I can derive there exists a C and there exists a D such that not D is equal to the ordered pair CD. At any rate, it makes good sense to give ourselves this kind of transformation rule. But then why are we waiting until Huh. Yeah, it's strange. So, what we're saying, or what we can derive from this double crosshatch, if and only if from the statement there exists an A and there exists a B such that D equals the ordered pair A B, we can forward derive the expression there exists a C and there exists a D such that not D is equal to the ordered pair CD. Which, semantically, that isn't a problem. Effectively, this amounts to saying that not all elements are the same. Though, that's kind of committal. When did I commit to saying that not all elements were the same? But okay. So this commits to saying that the elements are not the same. Well, semantically, I guess. Is this reasonable? Oh yeah, again, so it's like saying there exists an A and a B. There exists an alpha and a beta such that D equals the ordered pair alpha beta. Let alpha be A and beta be B, and then we're treating A and B like they're particulars, like they're individuals. Okay, then... Well, okay, I guess we'd want to adorn this with... there exists a C and there exists a D such that not D equals the ordered pair CD and not C equals A and not D equals B. Though how we would get that expression, I'm not sure. Mm. Yeah. Well, let's keep that observation going. So now I'm going to extract the negation all the way out for all C and for all D. A equals C or B equals D or D equals the ordered pair CD. Hmm. No, not for all C. Right, we extracted the negation from here, here, and here. Okay, but this is still, I am thinking, questionable because this gives us. This is treating. I think this is treating these quantified terms as individuals. Why do I want to say that? And relatedly, there's a step here that seems to trade in the same idea, where we take a step from saying we distribute this negation up here, and we get for all D and for all E, not D equals the ordered pair DE, or for all F, not the ordered pair DF is an element of A, or not the ordered pair FE is an element of C. Okay, now I guess the. I mean, if this were coding, I feel like I wouldn't have a problem with this. Well, no, if this were coding, seemingly the objection here is that A and B are not bound in this expression. We close the binding. Because we don't want this follow-up expression to be saying there exists an... Well, maybe we don't care about this, but it strikes me as a little bit odd to say there exists an A and there exists a B such that for all D and for all E, not D equals the ordered pair DE, etc. Like semantically, on the semantic side of that kind of expression, seemingly what I'm... On the semantic side of that expression, maybe I'm saying there's such an A and there's such an A and such a B that, as it were, because of their existence, it is the case that for all D and for all E. Though I'm not sure that's how people talk. I'm going to have to start saving this so we can keep quantifying. Yeah, or the issue here is that I'm selecting A and B. I have a motivated reason to choose A and B, but these aren't individuals. Okay, and also, why do I care that I'm motivated to choose A and B? I mean, so we declare A and B up here. There exists an A and there exists a B, these two variables. Such that D is equal to the ordered pair A, B, etc. Alright, and then we're saying whatever those A and B are, they are among the all D, all E, and all F for which these characterizations obtain. Okay, so I choose the same A, B, and C that I referenced up here. What's the problem, if anything? Well, I'll take it. Yeah, so if I had the theorem prover, I wouldn't have to worry. Which is not to say the theorem prover would tell me what is correct, what is true. It is rather to say that I only care when the only motivation I have to care about the correctness of my proof is when the theorem prover kicks back an error. As it were, I have a guarantee from higher up in the coding hierarchy. If the prover says that you're right, it's not your fault if you're wrong. Blameless. That's all I aspire to be. Unfortunate that this line had to end up on the next page, but whatever. Let's see. I saw a primary source that called logic the calculus of computer science. So it's a little bit like we are doing calculus, as my stream plan originally laid out. Isn't it almost exactly like we're doing calculus? Think of all the descriptions that overlap between doing this and doing calculus. Let's see. I forget what this terminology requires of me. Because I don't care to remember. Let's see here. Alright, so D is an element of this thing. Is interderivable with the expression. I forgot our quantification. Well, let's see. So I need the pencil-like structure here. Okay. Red is also getting kind of short. Alright, so D is an element of A slash B bar if and only is interderivable with there exists an A and there exists a B such that D is equal to the ordered pair AB and the ordered pair BA is an element of A slash B. Okay. We did it again. We did not enough room for the quantification. Yeah, well. Orange. Orange and Parma violet is not a good combination in my color theory. Interderivable with and there exists a C such that another quantification. Indeed. If we learned prenexing rules and followed them, we wouldn't have to fiddle around so much. Whatever. There exists a C such that the ordered pair BC is an element of A, and the ordered pair CB, CA rather, is an element of B. From which we can obtain D is equal to the ordered pair AB, and that would be AB. Yeah, I think we'll skip some of the verbiage here. However, we will close that. With no step down either. Alright. Ha! We finished another theorem. Look at us go. We'll be through the book in no time. How many more theorems are on this page alone? Three more. Yep. And a definition. Yep. Okay. What time is it? I should have exercised. I can exercise now. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. It seems that a preference for being in the dark is an unusual enough of a preference as to warrant questions. Why is it dark? Why would I sit in the light? Why would I want a light on? Do I need the light on? Am I looking at paperwork? Yeah, I got some muscles in my back are out. I need to find exercises that don't hit them. my rebar S-stock. With a weighted ball in the bottom of the hilt, base of the hilt. Okay. Alrighty. Now, what? I want to do category theory in abstract algebra. However, I don't think we're ready. There's a certain mathematical maturity that I'm afraid we lack. How do we accumulate this mathematical maturity? Are we currently accumulating mathematical maturity? We're mining mathematical maturity. Yeah, all right. D is an element of. it again. Making myself attend the quantification just because we don't really have a good idea of what the quantifiers are doing for us. Let's see. Yeah, we go on rotation with the primary colors. And I want to do blue, so I'm going to do blue. Alright, let's see. Hmm. Okay. Now, how we are supposed to fit this together is that we're going to have the ordered pair CB is an element of C, and the ordered pair DC is an element of B, which gives us that the ordered pair DB is an element of C slash B. Okay. However, yeah, I don't know if I should think about the quantifiers as having a connection. So when I say up front with orange, there exists an A and there exists a B, such that D equals the order pair AB, is saying there exists a C such that the ordered pair CB is an element of C, also a predication over A and B. Now, I don't know exactly what my terminology means here, though the intention behind it I can make sense of. We're saying, is it true of A and B? Well, I mean, if we're making the ordered pair CB, presumably we do have to say that we form a closure. We want to say we form a closure with orange, with there exists an A and there exists a B with these quantifications, and that this quantification of C is within that closure. Okay, then I also want to say the same thing here, where there exists a C such that the ordered pair CB is an element of C, and there exists a D such that the ordered pair AD is an element of A, and the ordered pair DC is an element of B. Okay, so then the point would be that if I can't shift this quantifier up, like, so the question is, the question we want to ask ourselves is, when we say there exists a C such that the ordered pair CB is an element of C. Okay, and there exists a D such that the ordered pair AD is A, and the ordered pair DC is an element of B. Okay. So the biconditional of definitional equality. Hmm. There exists a C and there exists a D such that the ordered pair CB is an element of C. So it's like saying that it's true of C. Like somehow declining to prenex this quantifier, there exists a D, means that this term, the ordered pair C, like does this term, the ordered pair CB is an element of C, mean something different with and without prenexing the there exists a D? Why would it? Okay, so then we say and depending on what our stance is on this question, of course, I'm inclined to take the easier routing. Yes, we can prenex like that. Why? Because it allows me to resolve this theorem post haste. Let's see. Because doing so allows me to resolve the theorem post haste. Okay. Which gives us Theorem 27 complete. What else do you have, Patrick Supish? The proof is omitted because it is a straightforward exercise in quantifier logic. Okay. We now define the notion of a relations domain being restricted to a given set. As usual, the definition applies to arbitrary sets. Okay, definition 8. Are restricted to A is equal to R intersection for all D. D is an element of R intersection A by the range of R if and only if D is an element of R and there exists an A and there exists a B such that D is equal to the ordered pair AB and A is an element of the set A and B is an element of the range of R. What does it mean for B to be an element of the range of R? rather, what is the definition? Very well. Okay. Who it's becoming a stub here. It's because it's so off-centered. This one pencil out of the stack really got off-center. And it means I have to sharpen down really hard. Yeah, that would be the solution. Get a straight edge and cut specifically the wood that's overgrown, as it were. Yeah, well. Alright, so... Hmm. Yeah, I want to say something like and, or I want to say there exists there exists an E, capital E. There exists a capital E such that E is an element of A and the ordered pair TS is equal to E. Which I think, given how we interpret these terms, doesn't produce any syntactical change, syntax difference, but... usage of A here is confusing. Alright, so this is how we expand this expression. For all D, D is an element of the range. Nope. For all D, D is an element of R intersection the Cartesian product A by the range of R is interderivable with the expression that D is an element of R and there exists an A and there exists a B. This is an interesting notebook management mistake or color management usage, color usage mistake. For all D, D is an element of R intersection A by range of R is interderivable with the expression that D is an element of R and there exists an A and there exists a B such that D equals the ordered pair AB and A is an element of A and there exists an E such that there exists a C such that E equals the ordered pair CB and E is an element of R. Okay. Which is presumably what term we'll want to be using by default here. Since we're going to be working through this transformation every time we see this expression anyway. Well, this expression. Anyway. We're on page 64. About a week ago, we were on page 63. We're almost on page 65. Alrighty. See you soon. Have a good one.